Live from the Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Glasgow Wants to Know. With your host, Mr. Uhel Barrickman.
Good evening. We're fortunate this evening to have with us the Mayor of Glasgow and the County Judge Executive of Barren County. They will be prepared and are prepared to answer questions which I may ask, and also this evening we are asking the audience to call in questions if they desire. The phone number which they should use is 651-1620. The plant board cable and WCLU appreciate the fact that you two gentlemen have come in here on such a cold and treacherous evening. I heard before I came out here that the governor had closed all of the interstates and the parkways in Kentucky, all over Kentucky, until further notice, because he said he didn't have sufficient equipment in the state to remove the snow and salt the roads, and he was going to have to call in some private contractors. So I think it would be appropriate to ask each one of you first, Mayor, about the condition of the streets and what the public can expect early in the morning.
Well, Uhel, I believe the only thing the public can expect in the morning is a lot of slick streets, because the weather is getting steadily worse as far as the temperature goes, and when it gets to be this temperature, salt has no effect, and with the glaze and the ice that got on the streets before the snow came and now is glazed over again, scrapers just slide right over the top of that. So I expect in the morning travel will really be treacherous, and I would advise people to stay off the streets. I don't care how much equipment we had, I just don't think you can do anything to it once it reaches the stage it's in right now.
Will the city building and the city offices be open tomorrow?
Yes, they will. Yes.
Judge Dickerson, what about the county roads?
Mr. Barrickman, the county roads are in a very similar situation. We've been working since last evening. We had the county salt truck out on the county road system last night before the temperature dropped down very cold, trying to get some salt on some bridges and overpasses. The county road department men have been working all day today, scraping snow from county roads, and are continuing to work even at this time. I spoke with Road Superintendent Danny Reed about 5:45 before I came out here, and he still had about 4 crews out working even at that time. But as the mayor said, by the time the temperature reaches the level that it is now, somewhere in the mid-teens, any salt that's added not only has no effect, but sometimes can have an adverse effect and even promote freezing. So we'll be doing a little more scraping this evening, and then shut down until tomorrow morning. The one thing that I'd like to ask county residents to do is, if you have to get out tonight, please use extreme caution. Of course, the preferred thing would be to remain at home. And tomorrow, if you are going to have to be out to go to work, please allow additional time so that you can use extreme care and extreme caution as you drive, because the roads are very slick, they are very hazardous, and we certainly would encourage everyone to use every degree of caution that they can.
Already we have a call-in question. It says, please discuss the pros and cons of combined city-county government. Mayor?
Well, there are a lot of pros and cons. I'm not well versed enough to discuss all of them by any means. You do avoid some duplication that naturally is in existence with cities and counties when the county seat's located in a city, while you have some duplication of services there. But there are other advantages to the city-county type government that we have here, that I think people get more attention and more problem solving takes place if you have separate governments than if you have combined. Of course, I guess Lexington is the only combined type government we have in the state, and Bowling Green has seriously considered it, as have others, but I don't think anyone else has adopted it yet. In the combined type, metro type governments, the mayor's job probably has more responsibility than it does if he just have the city government. But as far as that goes, the county judge might have a little less worries if he had a metro type government. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not well versed enough to say that I think one way is better than the other. I think right now for us, probably at this stage in our development, we're better with the type that we have.
Judge?
I tend to agree, Mr. Barrickman. If the mayor has more responsibility in the urban or metro style government, I'd certainly appreciate him taking over during the winter days that that we're experiencing right now because of the road situations that we face. But I think the problem that we'd have here in Barren County and in Glasgow would be one where we're such a rural community that that the needs of the county and the city, while they do link up and do have very similar needs in some areas, we have very distinct demographic groups that are more rural as opposed to urban. I think the urban or metro government works well in Lexington, Fayette County, but here where we have such a sharp line between the city and the rural nature of Barren County, I think we're probably better served by the style of government that we have here.
Well, of course, particularly in the last few years, there's been much cooperation between the city government and the county government, which has been beneficial to the county as a whole. And I congratulate both of you with the quickness that you came together about relieving a possible very serious situation out in the east part of the county when the gas went off out there, and the city cooperated by making the basement of the city building available for shelter for the people that might need it. I presume that and hope that that cooperation will continue during the next 5 years, the next 5 years, while you two gentlemen hold the positions that you now hold.
I see no problem in that continuing. As you mentioned, Saturday the mayor and I were meeting together and had the opportunity to work out the emergency shelter situation. He was extremely helpful to me, having the experience in office that he'd had, and my experience in office being limited to less than 2 weeks at that time. So I anticipate that there will be a good deal of cooperation between the city and county government. That doesn't mean that Mayor Honeycutt and I are going to agree on every detail of every issue that arises, but I think generally his desire for the city of Glasgow to succeed and my desire for the city of Glasgow and every other part of Barren County to be successful will allow us to work well together, and I look forward to the next 5 years.
So do I. I don't think there's any doubt but what we'll work closely together. We both grew up in this county. We both love this neighborhood, this area, and we both will work very hard, I'm sure, for the next 5 years to make it better. And we've already cooperated on some projects, as he mentioned, and I anticipate more cooperation. We have an industrial prospect that's interested in a place locating probably here, maybe, we hope. And we have discussed, there's been some discussion between city and county about possibly combining to build a road into the factory site that this client is interested in, and which would be beneficial to everybody. And if we work together, we can do so many things that one entity couldn't afford to do maybe by itself. But city and county together, we can solve a lot of problems that will take many years to solve if we just work on them by ourselves.
Well, knowing how bullheaded each one of you can be, I wouldn't expect you to agree on everything, but I'm satisfied that each of you will find ways and means to cooperate on the major things that affect both the city and the county. And after all, we are one unit. Judge, there is talk, and I know you have commented, that you might have night sessions of the fiscal court. I haven't seen anything that indicates the reaction of the membership of the court. What progress are you making in that regard, and what do you expect, and what do you plan?
Well, initially we're going to begin with a program that I became aware of in conversations with Judge Bob Arnold in Franklin County. He has something that he calls Judge's Night In. We'll probably be using the beginning this program the fourth Thursday night in the month of February, and we'll initially begin with my being in fiscal courtroom from probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock that evening on that Thursday night, for any citizen that might have a concern to come visit the courthouse and express that concern if their job responsibilities or their responsibilities to maintaining their home won't allow them to attend the regular meetings of fiscal court. If the response of the citizens is good at that time, then we'll expand the program and begin to invite different members of the fiscal court to come at a later time. And if the response continues to grow, then we would hope to schedule some regular meetings in the evenings so that the citizens of Barren County might be able to participate. One of the philosophies of government that I have is that we function best when we have citizen participation. So I want to encourage people to place on your calendar that fourth Thursday night in February to come to Judge's Night In on the second floor of the Barren County Courthouse and express your concerns to county government. Then if the response is good, then we'll continue to expand that evening, and if the response continues to grow, then I assume that we'll have some fiscal court meetings at night. None of the magistrates particularly object to it. It's the situation exists that if the citizens want us to meet at night, then the 7 men on the fiscal court, in addition to myself, would be more than happy to have those meetings in the evenings.
I'll remind the listening audience once again that if you have questions for any one of these gentlemen, call 651-1620. You'll never have a better opportunity to more or less put them on the spot. Mayor, there's been some television coverage of a family that allegedly was homeless here, was taken care of, and so forth. And I've heard some comments that has raised the problem of whether we have homeless people here in Glasgow and also Barren County, and if so, what plans, if any, are there to alleviate the problem, if there is a problem?
I don't think we have a permanent problem. I think we do have from time to time people that come into this area from other places, other states and other areas that come in here, and this has been going on for years, and we've taken care of them on a temporary basis. This last family that you spoke of was interested in locating here permanently, and came in, and I think the wife was able to get a job immediately in one of the restaurants here, but of course they had very limited funds, and evidently they'd had some experiences like this in other places, notably maybe larger cities, where they went to one office and all the services that they needed were supplied to them at that one office. We don't have anything like that. We don't have that problem. We don't have that many people to deal with. We have several agencies, the Community Relief Agency, the Community Action Agency, and then we do some work there out of City Hall. There are other Salvation Army and others that help with people like this, but we've had people come in the middle of the night without a place to stay, and the police department will make calls to Community Relief or Salvation Army. They'll put them up in the motel overnight. This family you spoke of, first night they were here was put in a motel and paid for by Community Relief, next night by Community Action, and the third night they went into a home, I believe, that was for rent by Section 8 government assisted housing program, and spent that night there. Since then, when word kind of got out that people were needing a permanent place, I believe the VFW, I think it's correct, paid their rent for a month in one of the apartment complexes here, and another agency helped them get some furniture, Salvation Army Community Relief have some food bank, has a food bank and some other things here. People needed bedding in case their house burned or something. I've asked a committee of the council to look into the possibility, and if it's necessary, to set up some sort of a shelter on a permanent or semi-permanent basis where maybe people could come in like this if they're just trying to locate here, and maybe have a temporary shelter where they could stay maybe a week or 10 days. I appointed a committee of the council to look into that possibility. I don't know if that's going to be feasible or not, but I don't think we have a big problem by any means. We do have an occasional problem with it, but I think we responded very well to this family.
I take it from what you say then that insofar as you know, we have no permanent homeless residents.
Right.
What's the situation in the county insofar as you know, Judge?
Well, I think we're in a very similar situation in the county. I'm not aware of a permanent homeless community as we have come to define homeless communities with regard to the national media's efforts and some in the state media here in Kentucky. I believe very firmly that when Barren Countyans and Americans, Kentuckians, see a real need, that they're more than willing to respond to a need through private means. That's the preferred way, I think, to address situations like this family that Mayor Honeycutt referred to that visited Glasgow, and I would certainly encourage private addressing of these needs when they do arise. Some cases, like the one this weekend with regard to the gas outage out in the eastern part of Barren County, can only be responded to quickly by executive action, like the mayor's and mine over the weekend with regard to the establishment of the shelter. So there has to be a marriage between the public and the private sector with regard to these situations, with eventually the public sector turning over the complete work to address the problem to private entities at the opportune time.
Judge, do you have any plans in regard to countywide garbage pickup?
Well, there has been a suggestion made by one of the citizens in the community for dumpsters, I suppose, initially to be placed at different strategic spots around the county. When the suggestion was made, I requested that citizen write a proposal. The lady that made the suggestion is very capable of doing that. She agreed to do it and even agreed to work with county government to implement the program. This is the kind of partnership that I was speaking about, where a private individual comes up with an idea, they bring it to county government or to city government in the case of the mayor's office, and we work together to implement the plan. If the response is good, then we try to continue the program, and if the response is not there, then we stop it. But there has to be some sort of partnership between the private individuals and the public sector to implement programs that are well received and that eventually begin to work well in the community. So we do have something on the drawing board that I'm sure we'll be coming forward with in the next few months. But it's not a mandatory situation. It's a voluntary use of the garbage pickup that we'll just have to begin and see how it's received.
May I remark on that?
Yes, sir.
There is some problem with that type of a drop-off box. They're called green boxes in many areas. The problem that develops there is people are not responsible, and we have that kind of people, unfortunately, throughout the state and throughout the nation. But there are certain items now the state has ruled out of landfills. For instance, you can't put a car battery in a landfill. You can't put a car tire in a landfill. There's several things that you cannot put in a landfill or you're going to get fined by the state. And other communities and areas have tried these green boxes. Unless they're supervised, problem has developed with things being put in there that are not allowed to be put in the landfill. And then what are you going to do with them? If you haul that to the landfill and the state inspector sees you trying to put that in there, we're going to get fined, and we're going to get written up on it. If we don't let it in, then what are we going to do with it? You see what I'm saying? We have a little problem there unless the box is supervised so that you don't let people put a dead calf, let's say. You can't put that in the landfill. And if somebody comes by and throws one in there, why, we're hurting. We've got some problems.
What are you going to do with used batteries?
They have to be recycled through dealers, battery dealers. They have to take care of them. But we can't accept them in the landfills.
What about paint that hasn't been used?
If it's any quantity at all, it has to be gone. It has to go to a recycling center.
What do you mean by any quantity?
Well, I mean, if you had a little bit left in the bottom of a gallon bucket, it probably would be no problem. But if you brought a 5-gallon bucket out there, you would have a problem. We wouldn't take it.
Well, now that brings me around to the program that's already started in a part of town where you sort your garbage.
Mm-hmm.
When's it going to be citywide?
We hope it'll be citywide sometime during the month of February. We anticipate, we've been ordering and getting in boxes to hand out to the people at the homes. Now we have to deliver these to the residences along with instructions about what we can take and what we can't. And then what we anticipate doing is combining the recycling pickup with the garbage pickup. In other words, having the recycling truck follow the same route as the garbage truck. Then you won't have to be confused with what day they're going to be there and what they're not, as we have done with our pilot program. We were just trying out to see how much time, how much money it was going to cost to do this. We think now we're about ready to go citywide with this curbside recycling, and I think it'll occur sometime in February.
Well, now, if the recycling truck follows the garbage truck, can you put your paint that's not used out and they'll pick it up and send it to the recycling circle?
No.
Center?
No.
Well, where is the recycling center for paint?
You'd have to check with the department that's handling that, the street department. I'm not sure where that is. I'm not sure where they could take that. But we can't at the landfill. I know that.
Well, of course, you're going to be picking up items that you can't put in the landfill anyhow. Or you won't be on this recycling, won't you? Glass and stuff like that?
We can put anything in the landfill like that. Glass, tin cans, aluminum cans, cardboard, paper, magazines. So that, especially paper, cardboard, and magazines, takes up such a large area in the landfill that it pays to recycle it. And then things like aluminum, there's a market for that, so it pays to recycle that. We can get rid of glass, so we can take that, clear glass. We can take tin cans if the food's rinsed out of them first. But things like paint, that has to go to a special place, and we'd have to have a storage place for it. I'm not sure whether recyclers here can handle it or not, but it can't go in the landfill if it's large quantity, above a gallon.
Well, if I may make a suggestion, you better let the public know what you will recycle and what you can't.
Well, that's what I said to you.
with it.
We have to have a printed sheet to go out with the containers, and we don't have all those ready
But what
yet.
I'm suggesting is that which you can't take, you should let the public know, if you do know, if somebody in the city does know, where they can take it.
Well, I think
Otherwise, I think you're going to have a problem because you're going to have people trying to sneak it in.
we haven't had a problem because the people at the landfill know what they can take and what they can't. And they tell people where to take it. I'm not sure. I don't go out to the landfill every day, and I'm not sure where you can take paint. I know what you do with tires and batteries. You have to take those back to dealers.
Judge, in your recent, somewhat, if I may, I'll call it a tempest in a teapot, matter about personnel, county personnel, and the appointment of them and so forth, I didn't see anything at all about the appointment of a treasurer.
Okay.
Why?
Well,
And what's going on there?
the treasurer's position is one that's set by statute. The term ends on June the 30th of 1994 in this particular case, and then the treasurer that's appointed and approved by fiscal court at that time would serve a 4-year term. That's a term that's statutory in length. It was my opinion at that time that while the treasurer's office did become or could be considered to be vacant at the time that my predecessor left office, that since the term was set by statute and since the budget that my predecessor wrote remains in effect until June the 30th, 1994, that it was very logical to make no recommendation with regard to the treasurer's office at the time that we considered other personnel. Mr. Jones will continue in that office until June the 30th of 1994 and until the new budget that I'll submit to the fiscal court for approval becomes effective on July the 1st, 1994. He may continue in office after that time. That's a matter for the fiscal court and for me to decide on June the 30th or prior to June the 30th. But that's the reasoning for that no recommendation was made with regard to the county treasurer's office.
Is he working now in helping prepare your first budget?
Well, he will be, given the circumstances that have arisen in county government over the past 2 weeks. We've had very little opportunity to talk about budgets. We're going to begin to do that very soon, and over the next couple of weeks the county treasurer and I will begin to make the very early budget recommendations or budget considerations so that we can present the county's budget in a timely fashion. So he will be working with me on the writing of the budget that we'll submit. That's still his job, and I do expect to work well with him over the next few months in preparation of that first budget. It'll very much have my mark on it, I suppose, but I'll solicit his input and expect Mr. Jones, who's the county treasurer, to work well with me in that preparation.
Again, I would remind the audience that we would welcome any calls with questions for either one of these gentlemen, and to call, you call 651-1620, and whatever question you submit, we will submit it to the gentleman here, if you'll designate which one you want to answer. Mayor, I understand, and I haven't been up there since you remodeled the city, remodeled the old National Store building and made it the city building, but I understand that the top floor is vacant. Is that correct?
No, that's very incorrect. No, on the top floor we have the Barren Information Technology Service, which is a computerized, digitized mapping service, has offices up there. Section 8 Housing, or the Community Development Agency that is supervised by Olita Hatchett, whose offices were across the street from the J.C. Penney Company, has a suite of offices up there. And then the City Council chamber is up there on that top floor. Then there's one room up there, one maybe big enough for 2 offices, that was not finished, and that's the only thing that's empty up there.
I had misinformation. As I say, I've been to the council chamber, of course, but
those other offices were across the hall from the council chamber.
Okay. You're already working on your budget, I presume, for...
No, sir, not yet.
Not yet?
No. No, we're not ready to present a budget yet. We won't start working on it probably until April.
To have it ready by July 1st?
I'll have to start a little earlier than that. I'm afraid I'm not as familiar with the process as the mayor. One of the first steps that we'll take will be to begin to work with Jailer Scott to prepare the jail budget. I think by statute we're required to do that first, and so we'll begin that process within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then proceed with other parts of county government. We'll start a little bit sooner than the mayor anticipates, because I have a few details to learn, I suppose, in budget preparation. But I look forward to a smooth process and think we'll be ready in a timely fashion.
I'm sure the judge will be ready, but we have a budget that's already been in place, and the process has been in place for a number of years, and what way we start out is to ask each department head to list their needs, and they may start working on that part of it prior to our actual getting in all the information and then starting to put together a budget. But it really doesn't take that long once we get information in place.
I would also remind the audience that WCLU is also broadcasting this live, and we would appreciate any of you conveying your appreciation to them for their efforts to carry this broadcast live. Mayor, again, I'll direct this to you and then we'll go to the judge. Do you have a city agenda for the legislature? In other words, is there anything that the city is particularly interested in getting before the legislature that would help the city? And if so, what is it, and what is the city doing about it?
Okay, I have to answer this in a couple of ways. There are a couple of items that probably our city is very interested in seeing happen, maybe some we're seeing not happen. I've been, whether that's good or bad, I've been given a job. We belong to the Kentucky League of Cities, which is an organization made up of 320 cities in the state, and I've been appointed state chairman of the legislative committee. So we've been working with a committee of mayors from around the state, putting together a legislative package. It's quite lengthy. It involves lots of things. I will be lobbying for that package, and I can support everything in there, I believe. There's one item in there that I'm a little hesitant about, but most of the things in there I think would be good for our city and all the cities in the state. There are some things in the package, I believe, my personal opinion, and it's borne out by a lot of surveys, that most of the crime and the problems that occur statewide and I think nationally have a direct connection, direct or indirect, with drugs and alcohol. And a lot of it has to do with drugs and alcohol use by juveniles. And we have some suggestions in there. We feel that many a times when the court gets a case involving juveniles or involving other people with drugs and alcohol abuse that have led to other things, serious accidents, crimes, and so forth, domestic problems, many things that develop from this, they feel like maybe this is a first-time offender, and the statutory requirements are pretty severe on this offense, so they kind of back off and they probate sentences and they do a lot of things. And one of the things we're asking for is a broader base of penalties for problems involving drugs and alcohol. We want to add more severe ones on top and less severe ones on the bottom, so there's a broad base so juries and judges can make a judgment but still not let this person go, not ignore it, and not just say, well, slap on the wrist and let them go. I think it needs to be taken care of and something done about it, because I think we're going to head downhill in this state and this nation unless we take care of this problem. I don't think, for instance, gun control is an item that's being discussed. We took every gun out of this city. Of course, you know we have very few crimes involving guns. We had a bank robbery lately. But we have very, very few crimes involving guns. But we have a broad list of crimes that occur and offenses that occur against the public. And I think that many of those are directly tied to drugs and alcohol. As I said, a lot of them have to do with automobiles. And taking guns away is not going to cure that, but making more realistic penalties for drug and alcohol offenses, I think, will help.
Obviously, you have an agenda on behalf of the city, and I'm sure you will keep up with the legislative action and will be going to Frankfurt from time to time, as you did in the last session of the legislature. I remember that. Judge, do you have an agenda insofar as the county is concerned?
Not a specific agenda, Mr. Barrickman. One of the counties in Kentucky operate under the County Home Rule Act, or the County Home Rule Law, that gives counties a good deal of flexibility with regard to how county government is operated. One of the problems that we face are the buzzword, I guess, to address these, called unfunded mandates. This is a situation that exists when the state government or the federal government issues orders, basically, that we do things in a certain way, or that we have to provide a certain service, whether it be a jail service or whether it be any one of a number of other things, but they don't tell us how we're going to get the money. They don't provide the money for it through the program. They just say, you're going to do it, figure out how you're going to fund it, and in that way they sidestep the County Home Rule Act, in my opinion. I received a legislative alert from the Kentucky Association of Counties this past week, where we have about 5 bills, I think, in the session this time that seek to step around the County Home Rule that is necessary for the smooth operation of county government. So with regard to I guess keeping the flexibility that counties need to address their own situation or their own problems, then certainly we would expect to oppose any legislation that seeks to circumvent the County Home Rule Act. But as far as a specific agenda, we really don't have anything right now. We'd like to see road fund money increased, of course, because that helps the transportation situation everywhere. But where county government, or where Barren County particularly, can address its own problems, we prefer to do it that way, because this is the government that's closest to the people. And the government that's closest to the people, in my opinion, is the one that serves them the best. So hopefully state government would allow us to continue to make those decisions that affect the lives of our citizens. And that's what we'll certainly try to push to maintain in Frankfurt.
Now you've raised a quick question that I'm going to ask each of you. The state now has a law which prohibits local government from enacting gun control legislation. Judge, are you in favor of repealing that and giving the county government authority to pass some gun control legislation?
Well, with regard to this county government, I wouldn't have a problem with it being repealed, because I don't think there's any sympathy on Barren Fiscal Court to enact any sort of gun control legislation. I do believe that the Constitution addresses the issue of gun control in the Second Amendment. I don't swallow the argument being made nationally that when the Founding Fathers wrote the Second Amendment about the right of the people to keep and bear arms, that they were speaking only with regard to smoothbore muskets. I think that the Founding Fathers were visionaries. I think they realized that technology would leapfrog and that there would be other weapons available at another time. I think so. I don't have a problem with the repeal of that particular section of state law as far as Barren County is concerned. I think we need to address crime with regard to handguns, or handguns used in the commission of a crime, as opposed to penalizing in some way legitimate gun owners. So I don't see any sympathy in Barren County for gun control regulations, so I wouldn't have a problem if that were to be repealed.
Judge? Mayor?
Well, the problem I would have with it is if you cross county lines, if, say, you're out hunting, and if you've got a gun in your car, or you're target shooting, whatever you're doing, and you go from one county to the next, or one city to the next, and it's been advocated that, as the judge said, county governments and city governments be given the right to have different laws concerning the use of guns. And I think it would make criminals out of a lot of honest people, accidentally probably. And people are used to having their freedoms and used to having the pleasure of hunting and target shooting in this state. It goes back since the Founding Fathers, and I think you just cause a lot of problems. If each city or each county had a different law where people cross the county lines, they're going to break a law.
We have several called-in questions.
All right.
Mayor,
Where the real pressure comes in.
Yeah.
says, why does cardboard to be recycled have to be flattened? How do you expect the elderly to accomplish this?
Well, the only reason we expect people to flatten it is because it makes it easier to handle and go in our truck. If the person is so elderly that they can't mash the cardboard, then by all means put it out unflattened and we'll take care of it.
Again, why can't recycling truck take everything they take at Houchins on Saturday, like magazines?
I don't know whether the recycling truck has been taking magazines or not, but we intend to take magazines, newspapers, cardboard, tin cans, aluminum cans, and glass.
Have a question here about motor parking in front of New City Hall. It says it's a problem. People still double park and ignore the 5-minute parking. Are there plans to make paying water bills and taxes easier?
There's a parking lot directly behind the new City Hall, a new parking lot, and it has a line of parking places down one wall. It says 20-minute parking for City Hall customers only. They can go back there and park directly behind the City Hall, go in the back entrance, leads directly into the elevator, and go to second floor for paying taxes or water bill if they desire to do that. We have a 5-minute parking place out in front of the City Hall that's designed for people making a quick stop just to run in and pay a water bill. Otherwise, you know, that's about all we can do. We have those places in the back of the building strictly for customers, and that one slot right in front of the City Hall for customers. Then we have, of course, the whole square and the city parking structure nearby, which is a lot better than most cities have available for getting City Hall business taken care of.
That brings up another question that I still hear complaints about sometimes from, of course, we don't have as many merchants on the square as we used to, but I still hear complaints about the county and city employees taking up all the parking on the square.
There are no city employees parking on the square at this time. Since we built the new City Hall, we had 30 spaces, I believe, back there for water company and city employees to park in. They are parking back there in that parking lot. There are no city employees parking on the square. I can't answer for this county. I'll let the judge do that.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you passing that one to me. I can speak for myself and for my office staff. I know that my secretary and the assistant treasurer and I all park in the old Uptowner Motel or Cardinal Federal or Great Financial Federal parking lot at the far end. The ladies that work in the office may have reserved spaces. I don't. I go to the far end and walk over to the courthouse every day. I can't speak to the employees in other courthouse offices because they don't fall under my direct supervision. The only thing that I can do is to suggest to those elected county officials that they make the employees of their office sensitive to the needs of the citizens to have access to the courthouse and to the city building, and then to try to cooperate with the citizens of Glasgow and Barren County to make those spaces available for those people who may have business to conduct with the government offices, and I'll certainly be glad to do that at the earliest opportunity.
Could I mention one other thing, Mr. Barrickman? While we're talking about parking, we have signs in front of our City Hall parking lot, the entrance there off of East Main, and it describes what that parking lot's for. And it's being abused right now. We have people parking in there and going to eat lunch in restaurants around and going to shop in various places, and they're abusing that. And some of our employees are having a hard time sometime that they have to, like the building inspector has to go out and come back. He may not find a parking place. He's having a problem. And we're going to start ticketing some cars in that parking lot because it is supposed to be, except for 8 spaces in there, for 20-minute business in the City Hall. Those places are supposed to be for that purpose. The rest of those spaces are for employees who work in the city hall so they won't take up the places on the square.
Have another question here. I don't know why this particular question is directed to either one of you. It says, has Barren County or Glasgow ever been wet? Is there any interest in a local option election now?
Well,
Mayor?
it was wet in the 30s, I believe. I was too young to know much about it, but I've heard about it, and I believe it was wet back then, and I don't think it's been wet since that time. I guess there's always some local interest about that, and there always will be. There's also a lot of local opposition to it, and I just think we just have to let that item float with the public's will. Whatever the public wills, that's what it'll be.
Judge?
Well, Mr. Barrickman, I too, like Mayor Honeycutt, have heard stories about the sale of alcohol, the legal sale of alcohol in Barren County back in the 30s. At a time when we had roadhouses in the county and this sort of thing. There's absolutely no interest on my part in any part of a local option election. As both of you know, and as a number of the citizens of Glasgow know, I took a very active role in the two local option elections that were conducted in Barren County in the past 10 years, or in the city of Glasgow in the past 10 years. If a petition were presented, then I'm obligated by law to make sure that that petition for a local option election is valid, and I'm required to call an election. I would expect, if that were to occur, that I would take a very strong stand in opposition to any local option question. I like things the way they are. I think we need to enforce the laws with regard to alcohol, and if we do that, I think that's the best sort of control that we can have. I think we can maintain that type control, and that's what I'd work to try to do.
I think that both the city and the county has a problem with the location of the present post office, particularly insofar as parking facilities are concerned. It creates a traffic problem out there, and particularly during holidays, I mean Christmas season and Easter season and so forth. Has anyone brought that problem to your attention? Mayor?
I'm aware of the problem. Of course, nobody has come to me directly because I have no control over it. But I agree with you, there is a problem. The city and the county business climate has grown, and although the census doesn't tell us that, I feel sure our population has grown. And I think that the parking lot out there is inadequate. I don't know what the answer is. That's up to the Postal Service, I think, to find a better place.
I know that the problem exists, Mr. Barrickman, because of the traffic flow in that area. Columbia Avenue is an extremely busy street in the city of Glasgow. I don't know what input county government might have into alleviating the situation. I do agree with the mayor. It seems to be a problem that the Postal Service might want to address at some time, and I feel certain if they do decide to do that, that they'll contact certainly the city of Glasgow and possibly the government of Barren County to assist them in some way to either build a new post office or to try to expand their present facilities. But I really have never been contacted about that, and I don't have an opinion on the problem right now.
Well, I think each one of you might have some influence with the congressman about that, and also with 2 senators. And it is a problem, yes, and I gather that both of you recognize it as a problem, and I think each one of you in your official position, and of course I'm now expressing an opinion, which possibly I shouldn't be doing here, but I think each one of you in your official position could have some influence in getting that problem attended to.
Well, since you hold the switch to both microphones, you feel free to venture here to voice your opinion.
I just did. We have more questions from our audience. Are there any plans to make City Hall or courthouse smoke-free facilities? Mayor?
I don't have any particular plans right now. We have many areas that are smoke-free in the City Hall. The entire City Hall is not smoke-free. There are signs, appropriate signs up in different places in the City Hall, and plenty of places to get rid of any smoking material when you come in there. Some areas, some offices up there may want to have smoking going on in there, and if they do, that's their privilege. Over in the city government side, there is no smoking in any of those offices down through there.
Judge?
We have no plans at the present time to make the courthouse a smoke-free facility. I don't object to the smoking of tobacco products in the Barren County Courthouse at this time, and I don't anticipate a time in the future where I would object to that. I think that's the choice of each individual, but I do believe that we should all be conscious of the preferences of our neighbors. There's an ashtray in my office. Anyone that comes in should feel free at any time to smoke if they want to. That's fine with me. I don't have a problem with it at all. The only thing that I think each one of us need to be is much more sensitive as individuals to our neighbors' desires. If we choose to smoke, then I think that's fine. If we choose not to, then I think that's fine. But we must reach an accommodation together, and at the present time, that accommodation does not include the prohibition of smoking in Barren County's courthouse.
Next question. Will new city building meeting room downstairs ever be available to public to rent?
Possibly in the basement. Right now, the Department of Emergency Services and the Community Relief Agency both have offices and areas down there in the basement. There is a section on one side where Community Relief is now storing clothing and bedding that have been donated, and that's taking up pretty much all of the basement at the present time. Possibly sometime in the future there might be a public meeting room down there. We have talked about petitioning part of that basement and making the public room there. There's also, as I said, an area on the top floor that is big enough for a small public meeting room, and we have talked about that, but we've not made any moves in that direction. We had to take care of the necessities first. And of course that whole building is elevator served and is handicap accessible throughout. So it wouldn't really matter what floor the public meeting room was in, because it'd be handicap accessible no matter which floor it was on.
Another question from the audience. Who buys the aluminum and cardboard from recycling, and how much has city made?
For the first few years we had to pay to have it taken. We didn't make anything. In fact, we had to pay to have it hauled off by a recycler, and he took it to markets and made some money from it, plus we paid him just enough probably to take care of his gasoline expenses. The present recycler that we're using buys the materials from the city, pays the city a commission for whatever we collect, and so far it's been very nominal amount of money that's come in, a few $100s.
I have heard some criticism by some people who think that insofar as the ambulance service is concerned, that the county and the city are subsidizing Metcalfe County, and that they don't think Metcalfe County is paying its fair share. You care to comment?
Well, I'm chairman of the ambulance service board, and of course Judge Dickerson is going to be serving on there too. We haven't had a meeting, I don't believe, since he's been in office, but I don't think there's any way to base that service except on population, and that's the formula that's being used. We pay so much a head into the ambulance service, and the Barren County pays so much a head, Metcalfe County pays so much a head. There are more people living in Barren County than in Metcalfe County, so Barren County pays a larger share. But there are more ambulances stationed here in Glasgow and Barren County than in Metcalfe County. And Metcalfe County pays per capita the same as Barren County. But the fact that they have fewer people over there means they don't pay into it quite as much. But the way I look at it, yes, I think they're paying their own way, and they're helping us, because if we didn't have them, it would make that much more of a deficit that we would have to share.
Of course, the other argument in that regard is that it costs more to bring somebody from Metcalfe County over here than it costs to take somebody here in town, and that the charges are more or less the same.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the charges.
I don't know either. Yeah. I'm just telling you what I have heard, and then I've had some people, after they knew we were going to have this program, raise this question.
The ambulance service operates at the present time with a large deficit. I know that the first 6 months of this budgetary year, the 6 months from July the 1st, 1993 through the end of December 1993, prior to my assumption of the office of County Judge Executive, Barren County's contribution to the ambulance service was something in excess of $147,000. That's a severe problem that we, the mayor and I and the members of the Ambulance Service Board in Metcalfe County are going to have to address. I don't know that there's an easy answer to it. I know that this provider tax that the state's trying to levy against ambulance providers, the 2% tax, is not going to do anything to help us reduce the deficit. Basically, the state, in my opinion, is trying to tax money by taking 2% more on any ambulance service receipts. So that, I guess, is a specific problem or a specific item on the legislative agenda that I would have that comes to mind since the ambulance service question has arisen. I think, as the mayor said, I have yet to attend a meeting of the Ambulance Service Board as a member of that board. I think we've, as fairly as we can, divided the contributions to the deficit. I know Barren County contributes, I think, 50.4% under the population that we have. The city of Glasgow and then Metcalfe County contribute the balance of 49.6%. So it's on a per capita basis. Taxpayers in our localities may see that as a subsidy to Metcalfe County. I don't know. In some degree, I suppose it is, but here again, as the mayor said, we are in a nonprofit corporation. All of us are a part of it, and I think that's just a certain level of cooperation that we need to expect from governments that have as much in common as the government of Metcalfe County and the governments of Glasgow and Barren County.
We have 2 more questions, and we're about to run out of time here, so we'll see if we can cover them. It says, why are all city-owned vehicles not marked?
I assume they were. I don't know what's not marked except for a new station wagon the recreation department, not recreation, street department just recently got. As far as I know, all other city-owned vehicles are marked. I'd be happy to know any that are not.
And then corollary question, are there regulations governing the use of city vehicles by non-emergency employees?
Yes, there are regulations. They use them in this city with their jobs, and they can take them home with them if that vehicle is assigned with them. There are regulations about taking them out of the city limits. They have to write a trip ticket. You have to turn it in advance to the mayor's office stating where they're going and the purpose for the trip.
Gentlemen, on behalf of WCLU and the Plant Board Cable and myself and the public, we thank you for appearing here and for answering these questions. You're doing a service to the community and fulfilling your obligations as officials of the county and the city. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barrickman, and thank each one of you for viewing tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.